Let me ask you something. How much money did you spend on watering your garden last year? Hoses, sprinklers, drip systems, timers, it adds up fast, doesn't it? And here's the part that might sting a little, most of that money? Completely unnecessary. Because there is a group of vegetables, 10 of them to be exact, that have been quietly growing in homestead gardens for centuries. And they do something remarkable. They build themselves into a lush, productive food wall and then, they just keep growing. Without you watering them. Without irrigation systems. Without the stress. These aren't your everyday tomatoes or courgettes. These are forgotten climbing vegetables that most gardeners have never even heard of. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what they are and how to get them growing in your garden this season. Here's what you're going to get from this video. You're going to discover 10 climbing vegetables that nature designed to survive and thrive without constant watering. You're going to understand why they work, and that's important, because when you understand the why, you can stop guessing and start gardening with real confidence. You'll also learn how to set up a living food wall that basically takes care of itself. Less work. Less cost. More food. More enjoyment. That is what this channel is all about, stress-free garden living. Not complicated systems, not expensive gadgets, just smart, simple choices that get you results. So whether you're brand new to gardening or you've been doing it for years and you're just tired of the effort, this video was made for you. Let's get into it. If you've ever stood in your garden on a hot summer afternoon thinking, I just watered this 2 days ago, why does it already look sad? You are not alone. Most gardeners go through this. You do everything right. You plant, you feed, you water. And then the moment you miss a day or two, the garden suffers. The problem isn't your effort. The problem is the type of plants most people start with. We've been sold on varieties that need a lot of hand-holding. But there's a whole other world of vegetables out there, vegetables that are naturally self-sufficient. Here at Stress-Free Garden Living, everything we share is built around one idea: work smarter, not harder. And today's video is a perfect example of that. When you choose the right plants, your garden works with you, not against you. Now, before we get into the full list, I want to tease something for you. There is one plant on this list, number 7, that looks almost prehistoric. It has thick, waxy leaves and it can climb over 6 feet tall on nothing but rainwater. It's been grown in hot, dry climates for over 1,000 years, and almost nobody in modern gardens grows it. When you see it, you're going to wonder why you've never heard of it before. And I think it might just become your new favorite thing to grow. So stay with me, because we're getting there. But first, let's start with the basics: why climbing vegetables are simply different when it comes to water. Here's something most gardeners don't realize. Climbing vegetables, the ones that grow up and reach for the sky, develop much deeper root systems than plants that sprawl along the ground. And those deep roots matter enormously. When the top layer of soil dries out in summer heat, shallow-rooted plants start to struggle almost immediately. But climbing vegetables? Their roots have already gone down deep, where the soil stays cool and moist even in a drought. They are pulling up water that surface irrigation never even reaches. This is why climbing vegetables are naturally drought-resilient. It's not luck. It's biology. And it means that once they're established, they need far less help from you to stay alive and productive. Now let's talk about the living food wall idea, because this changes everything about how you think about your garden space. When you grow climbing vegetables together in a block, not in single rows, but in a dense, layered group along a fence or trellis, something incredible happens. Their leaves grow together and create a natural canopy. That canopy shades the soil underneath it, and shaded soil holds moisture dramatically longer than exposed soil. So you're not just growing food. You're building a self-regulating system. The plants protect each other. The soil stays cooler and moister. Evaporation slows right down. And the need for watering? It almost disappears. This is what gardening without stress actually looks like. You set it up once. You give it a good start. And then you mostly just watch it grow. We're halfway through and the best plants are still coming. If you're finding this useful, do me a quick favor, tap the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more gardeners who need this information. Now, let's keep going because the next few vegetables on this list are the real hidden gems. Malabar spinach looks and tastes like regular spinach, but it behaves nothing like it. This plant is a tropical climber with thick, glossy, almost waxy leaves, and it was designed by nature for heat and humidity. It loves to climb and it can reach impressive heights in a single season. Why does it thrive without much watering? Those waxy leaves are the key. They reduce moisture loss from the plant itself, which means it needs far less water to stay healthy and productive. Plant it in rich soil with a trellis and it will reward you with leaves from summer right through to the first frost. Use the leaves exactly as you would spinach, in salads, stir-fries, or steamed. If you've ever tried growing regular cucumbers and found them thirsty and temperamental, Armenian cucumber is going to feel like a revelation. It's technically a member of the melon family, which tells you something important. It evolved in dry, warm climates where water is scarce. Grow it vertically on a trellis or fence and the fruits hang down beautifully, which also keeps them straighter and easier to harvest. The flavor is mild and refreshing, very similar to a standard cucumber but with a thinner skin you don't even need to peel. Plant in a sunny spot, prepare the soil well, and this one will largely look after itself once established. Here's one that will stop people in their tracks when they walk past your garden. The hyacinth bean vine is one of the most beautiful climbers you can grow, with rich purple flowers and dramatic deep purple seed pods. But don't let the looks fool you, this plant is as tough as they come. Hyacinth beans come from tropical Africa and Asia, where they've sustained communities through dry seasons for generations. They are drought-tolerant, fast-growing, and prolific. The young pods can be cooked and eaten, and the seeds, when dried and properly prepared, are a nutritious food source. This is a plant that feeds you and looks stunning doing it, with almost no fuss. Number 4 is chayote, and this is where things get genuinely exciting for anyone who wants maximum food from minimum effort. Chayote is a climbing vine in the squash family, and once it gets going, it is unstoppable. A single plant can produce dozens upon dozens of fruit in one season. It grows best in warm climates but can thrive in cooler areas too if given a warm, sheltered spot. The fruit is mild and versatile. You can roast it, stuff it, add it to soups, or eat it raw in salads. The roots, shoots, and leaves are also edible. Plant it near a strong fence or large trellis because this vine will grow big and lush, and all that dense foliage will do exactly what we talked about, create a canopy that keeps the soil moist beneath it. Before we continue, I want to flag the most common mistake I see gardeners make with climbing vegetables, and it's an easy one to avoid once you know about it. Most people plant in a single row. One plant, then a gap, then another plant, in a straight line along a fence. And it works, sort of. But it doesn't create the canopy effect we talked about. You end up with vertical coverage but very little shade over the soil. Instead, plant in blocks. 2 or 3 rows deep if space allows. Stagger the plants so their leaves overlap and interlock as they grow. That dense, layered coverage is what locks moisture in. It's what transforms a fence with some plants on it into a genuine living food wall. Small change. Huge difference. Bitter melon is enormously popular across Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean, yet it's almost unheard of in Western gardens. That's a mistake worth correcting. This vigorous climber thrives in heat, tolerates dry spells well, and produces heavily once it gets into its stride. The fruit has a distinctive bitter flavor that is actually an acquired taste, but once you're used to it, it becomes addictive. It's also incredibly nutritious, used for centuries in traditional medicine. Grow it on a trellis in full sun, give the soil a good preparation before planting, and this vine will cover a large area and feed you generously through the summer. Also called asparagus beans or snake beans, yard-long beans are exactly what the name suggests. They grow extraordinarily long, sometimes up to 18 inches on a single pod. They twine themselves up trellises and fences enthusiastically, and they have a lovely heat and drought tolerance that makes them perfect for a low-maintenance food wall. The flavor is similar to a regular green bean but slightly nuttier and more robust. They grow quickly, produce prolifically, and because they are a legume, they also fix nitrogen in your soil, which means they are actually improving your garden as they grow. This is a genuine win on every level. Now, remember that plant I teased at the beginning? The one that looks almost prehistoric and can climb over 6 feet on nothing but rainwater. That's the mature chayote vine in full growth mode. When it really gets established, and I mean really established, year 2 and beyond, it becomes something almost mythical in the garden. The thick stems, the enormous spreading leaves, the clusters of fruit hanging in the shade of its own canopy. It looks like something from a different era. And it performs like it too, surviving dry spells that would finish off lesser plants, coming back year after year in mild climates from the same root. If you grow one thing from this list, make it chayote. The winged bean is sometimes called the supermarket in a plant, and that nickname is fully earned. This remarkable climbing vegetable is edible in almost every part, the pods, seeds, leaves, flowers, and even the roots. It is nutritionally dense, protein-rich, and it climbs vigorously with very little encouragement. It prefers warm conditions and full sun, but once established it handles dry periods well. The pods have a distinctive four-winged shape that makes them instantly recognizable and genuinely beautiful on the vine. If you enjoy growing unusual, conversation-starting vegetables, the winged bean is going to be a favorite. Luffa. Yes, luffa. The same plant that produces those bathroom sponges. But here's what most people don't realize: when harvested young, luffa is a perfectly delicious vegetable. It tastes mild and slightly sweet, similar to a courgette, and it's used extensively in Asian cuisine. The vine is vigorous and drought-tolerant once established. It loves heat, climbs enthusiastically, and produces large gourds that you can harvest young for eating or leave to mature and dry for natural sponges. Either way, you're getting tremendous value from one plant that largely looks after itself once it gets going. Our final plant is Tindora, also known as ivy gourd, and this one is a genuine surprise for most Western gardeners. Tindora is a fast-climbing vine that produces small, oval fruits, a bit like baby cucumbers, that are used widely in Indian cooking. They are crisp, slightly tangy, and absolutely delicious stir-fried with spices. What makes Tindora special for a food wall? It is one of the most resilient climbers on this list. It tolerates drought, heat, and poor soil conditions that would stress other plants. Once it gets established, it creates dense, lush coverage and produces fruit continuously. It is, in every sense, a plant that rewards you for leaving it alone. Here is the most important thing I'm going to say in this entire video. And it might surprise you, because after everything we've talked about, the plants, the canopy, the deep roots, this is the step that actually makes all of it work. Soil preparation. That's it. That's your one real job. Before you plant any of these climbing vegetables, spend time on your soil. Dig it deep. Work in generous amounts of organic matter, compost, well-rotted manure, leaf mold, whatever you have access to. Then mulch the surface heavily with straw, wood chips, or compost after planting. Here's why this matters so much. Organic rich soil acts like a sponge. It absorbs rainfall deeply and holds it there for weeks, even in dry weather. When you plant your climbing vegetables into soil like this, their roots have a constant reservoir to draw from. The mulch on the surface stops evaporation. The canopy the plants form slows it down even further. The result? A garden that genuinely waters itself. Not because of any expensive system, but because you made the right choices at the very beginning. One afternoon of soil preparation at planting time can save you months of watering effort. That is the stress-free garden living philosophy in a single action. So let's bring this together. You now know that the secret to a low-maintenance, productive garden isn't a fancy irrigation system. It's plant selection, smart structure, and good soil preparation done once. These 10 forgotten climbing vegetables have been feeding people for centuries. They were grown long before hoses and sprinklers existed, in climates far hotter and drier than most of our gardens. And they can do exactly the same for you. A living food wall built from climbing vegetables isn't just beautiful to look at. It's a self-regulating, moisture-holding, food-producing ecosystem that largely takes care of itself. That means less time worrying about your garden, less money spent on water and equipment, and more time actually enjoying the space you've created. You planted it. You prepared the soil. And now you let nature do the rest. That is stress-free gardening. And that is exactly what this channel is here to help you achieve, season after season. If this video helped you see your garden a little differently today, I'd love for you to join the stress-free garden living community by hitting that subscribe button right now. Every week, we share simple, smart gardening ideas designed specifically for people who want real results without the stress. No complicated systems. No technical overwhelm. Just honest, practical advice that works, whether you're growing your very first vegetable or you've been gardening for decades and you're ready to make it a whole lot easier on yourself. And I have a question for you, actually, too. Which of these 10 climbing vegetables are you most excited to try in your garden? And do you already grow any climbing vegetables? Drop your answers in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love hearing what you're growing. Your comments also help me understand what videos to make next, so if you'd love to see a full planting guide for any of the vegetables on today's list, just let me know down below and I'll make sure we cover it. Thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening, and I'll see you in the next one.